Hello everyone, we are the Group 4. I am Raquela Buyangot. Together with my group mates, we are going to report Chapter 5, Logging as Gateway Activity to Economic Funder and Environmental Disaster, and Chapter 6, Mining in Mindanao. The arrival of steady migrants and transformation in the orientation of the local economy from subsistence to surplus agriculture was the flattening of thousands of hectares of Mindanao forest. The more people move in Mindanao and the local economy shifted from farming just for enough food but also to have extra food for sale. So, dili lang tungod sa deforestation ng Mindanao. It is also because, di ba, naman tayong mga tao who came diri sa Mindanao para magpuyo. So, to make their own food, since that time is abunda pa man gid og kahoy, so wala pa'y matamnan, for them to be able para na sila itamnan is ilahang gipamutol lang some of the trees. And then, we all familiar about maybe sa tungod kay na-believe ang mga tao before nga if ever kanang mga abo nga gikan sa kahoy or sa sagbot is na siya natural nga fertilizer para tambok ang tanom. And then maybe sad ang reason nila before kay since dili man kaayo, wala pa man kay hawan nga lugar, that's why need gin nga putlo ng kahoy para makatanom. And then based on my experience as akong parents kay farmer before kanang every time nga magpugas is samot na og kanang ang sagbot is tagas nakailay kanang ginabawog sa baka nga kumpay since lisod man jud kay na siya patyon. Ang ginabuhatan na is ginasunog na siya, and then after dayon masunog na siya pag mga pila lang ka days kay ginadaro na dayon na siya para tamnan og mais. And then sa mga term ang ginatawag-an na is big sol. American logging companies came to Mindanao and cleared large areas of trees for logging and farming. Timber from Mindanao was highly valued and was sold to United States, Japan, China, Australia, and England. So, some of the Filipino became business partners of the American. So, these foreign companies usually had Filipino subsidiaries, many of whom were known to be owned by politicians from Misamis Oriental and Bukidnon who facilitated the logging operation locally. Dongalio, Alvarez, and Roa were just some of these prominent political families. Even after the Philippines gained independence after World War II, some local elites continued the logging to meet the growing demand for Mindanao timber. In the 1950s, only a small percentage of Philippine exports were from forest products, but by the 1960s, this grew significantly mainly due to demand of Japan. So this elite nga mga Filipino is ang ubanan is namely katong si Alvarez and Roa, which is sa amo ang lugar is kani si Roa is gakadunggan ginap nako iyahang name, like kanang ang mga tao kay moingon nga murag kanang nakaabot japon sila sa amo sa pagkuha og mga timber, but sa amo dili timber ang ginatawag sa tao but tablon, which is mostly nga mga tao nga naka-agi pa og ingato naka-experience pa sila og logging is mga tigulang na dyan sila kaayo karon nga time. The impact on logging on lumad communities. So, the cutting down of trees causes serious ecological damage and negatively affected lumad communities. Indigenous people who relied on the forest, food, medicine, and cultural practices. Negatively affected gud ang lumad communities sa mga logging. Well, and sa pinaka-kuan gid ang lumad gid is first of all is ilahang source gid sa ilahang food is gikan sa forest, and then they also believe dagan sad kaayong mga medicine or natural nga medicine nga makita sa forest, which is mostly gid naka-known na is katog yung mga shall I say mga lumad where I belong. Then, based on my experience po, especially sa akong mama, every time nga mga dumigbukid, ilagin ang ginasulit ang time, if na sila makita nga, kabalo sila nga herbal, manguha jud na sila para ilang i-preserve, kay samot na nga, kanang tigulang na siya, then, na-chance nga kami nga yung mga anak is, pag abot sa time is, makuan man gina nga, na-chance nga mawala ang bukid or mawala ang natural nga habitat sa mga nga nga medisina. And then iyan ang gina-preserve, and then every time nga mag-uban mi, iya ginang ginatudlo sa mga nga kani siya nga sagbot or kani siya nga tano nga kahoy, ang kuan is tambal ni siya sa ingana. So during that kung magsige og laging na chance nga ang tanan nga mga kahoy or ang natural nga habitat sa mga ingana medicine is mawala siya. And then in terms of cultural practices, I believe nga kanang when you say luma, daghan gina silang belief. And then naagi na sad sila yung mga natural belief like kanang mga supernatural. So apektahan gid sila negatively, especially if maputol na siya nga kahoy nga kanang na sila belief nga nay nagpuyo ana. And then they know nga, for example is maharm to nga ang nagpuyo ato, since nawala man to nga kahoy, na chance nga masuko tong nagpuyo dadto, and then pwede siya nga mubalos dadto sa mga tao.
Good evening everyone. Tonight, we'll explore the tragic history of deforestation in Mindanao, Philippines, and its devastating consequences. This isn't just about trees, it's about the lives and the cultures of indigenous communities, irrevocably altered by unsustainable logging practices. So, our story begins with the indigenous peoples of Mindanao, whose traditionally agricultural practices were violently disrupted. Logging companies, backed by forestry laws, actively prevented these communities from farming their ancestral lands. This wasn't simply a matter of economic hardship, but it was direct assault on their way of life, a forced assimilations into a system that didn't value their traditions. The destructions of their forest was the breaking point for the Lumad people, and especially the Banwaon of the San Luis, Agusan del Sur. Losing their forest meant losing their livelihood, their culture, and their very identity. This forced them to adapt, often lead to the erosion of traditional values and community structures. The entry of logging company was really peaceful. It involved co-erosion, bravery of tribal leaders, and the deliberate divisions of communities. So, the process wasn't just about the logging companies themselves. Local politicians, the military, and the police were often complicate, actively assisting the clearing of the land, often violently suppressing resistance. This highlights the systematic nature of the problem. The exploitation of indigenous communities was facilitated by those in have power. The sheer scales of logging industry grid is staggering. Between 1972 to 1988, the industry ranked in $14.85 billion, resulting to destructions of millions of hectares of forest. The consequences were immediate and drastic. Mindanao's forest cover plummeted from 20% in 2002 to shocking 60% by 2010. This wasn't just environmental damage, it had profound social and economic impacts. The devastating effects of deforestation became tragically clear in 2011 with Typhoon Sindong. The catastrophic floods in Cagayan de Oro and Iligan were directly linked to the decades of deforestation in the uplands watersheds. The conversions of forests to pineapple plantations left the regions vulnerable, resulting in immense loss of life and widespread destructions. The flash floods in areas like Makasandig highlight the human cause of these environmental disasters and cost far exceeding official figures. The story of Mindanao's deforestation is stark warning. It demonstrates the devastating consequences of unsustainable practices, the exploitation of indigenous communities, and the interconnectedness of environmental degradations and human suffering. We must learn from this tragedy and work towards sustainable practices that protect our forests and the communities that depend on them. Thank you.
I'm Jack Raymond Botal and my part is about the mining in Mindanao. So what is mining in Mindanao? So there were already gold mines in eastern Mindanao in the so-called Surigao Gold District even before the Second World War. In Zamboanga, Sibugay, the Malangas Gold Mine, owned and operated by the Philippine National Oil Corporation or the PNOC, has been producing coal since the 1930s. How many gold mines in eastern Mindanao? Number 1 is the Surigao Gold District before the Second World War. The second is the Malangas Gold Mine in Zamboanga, Sibugay, operated under the Philippine National Oil Corporations since 1930s. So, what is Surigao Gold District? Within the northern Mindanao region in the Philippines, the Surigao Gold District maintains fame as a mining district with abundant gold resources. Both big and small mining operations have continuously extracted gold from this area as a self-sustaining source for many years. The Surigao Gold District occupies the Surigao del Norte and Surigao del Sur provinces, which together support an essential role for economic development through its gold mining activities. The Malangas Coal Mine. Malangas Gold Mine operates as a fundamental coal mining facility situated with Zamboanga, Sibugay. The Philippines count this coal mine as one of its primary coal extraction sites, which serve as the fuel for electricity generation together with the industrial applications. The government-owned Philippine National Oil Company or the PNOC operates the mine through its asset management duties. Power plants together with cement factories and many other industrial institutions obtain their energy from coal that mining operations in Malangas produce. The mine maintains a vital position in providing energy requirement for domestic Philippines. 1970s, during Marcos' dictatorship upon the present bulk mining achieved a serious presence. Then, the Caraga region is the biggest deposits of copper and nickel mines. The Philippines conduct bulk mining operations to extract major minerals resources such as gold and copper and nickel through a large-scale extraction with a modern equipment. The operation removes considerable rock volumes and conducts open-pit extraction to extract valuable metals from the earth depth. Major mining corporations conduct this method to acquire substantial mineral quantities which satisfy industrial requirement. The Caraga region has many of these copper and nickel mines, having the biggest deposit of iron ore worldwide, largest nickel and gold deposits in the country, as well as the substantial reserves of copper, chromite, and coal. In the 1980s, the largest gold reserves in the Philippines is in Mount Diwata, became a gold rush site located in the province of Compostela Valley. Mount Diwata, located in the former Compostela Valley, now part of the Davao de Oro. The province stands out as the Philippine location with the biggest gold reserves because this mountain harbors extensive gold-rich ore deposits. Mining operations have established through time that the mountain region contains abundant gold-rich ores. Small-scale miners extract gold from Mount Diwata which serves as a crucial national source of gold production. The Philippines considers this location as a key mining site because of its considerable gold resources. Also, the Mount Diwata, also known as Mount Diwaliwal, the control over the mining areas has been contested by a coterie of small-scale miners, gangs, politicians, and military, national government agencies, and transnational mining corporations ever since the Camilo Banad, a nomad belonging to the Mandaya tribe, found small gold nuggets in the mountains way back in 1983. The Mandaya Dato, who first found gold in the area, has since been relegated to the margins, leading a simple, peaceful life away from the frenzy caused by his discovery. The mad rush for gold by these conflicting interests over the decades has been made the small town the modern capital of the country.
Both of these mining sites, as well as in many others in Mindanao, it is often the Lumad who are displaced by these mining operations. For example, is the Caraga region. It is home to the Manubo and Mamanwa tribes, while Compostela Valley has a sizable Mandaya and Ata population. What happened to Datu Banad was a reflection of the fate of the indigenous communities whose ancestral domain and territories have been appropriated by mining. They are displaced, subjected to violence, and essentially excluded from the gains of the valuable resources extracted from their destroyed mountains, forests, and rivers essential to their community's survival. Let's have a quick overview of the Republic Act No. 7942, also known as the Philippine Mining Act, which aimed to revitalize the mining industry and attract foreign investment by establishing a new system for mineral resources exploration, development, utilization, and conservation, while also safeguarding the environment and protecting the rights of the affected communities. When the Philippine Mining Act was passed in 1995, even more transnational corporations established operations all over Mindanao. Among the controversial features of this law is the granting of 100% ownership to foreign investors, mining concessions of up to 81,000 hectares, permission to repatriate fully profits, freedom from expropriation, and 100% remittance from earnings and interest on foreign loans. The enactment of this law can be likened to the opening of a valve which allowed for the steady entry of transnational mining corporations in Mindanao. In keeping with neoliberal policies that allow the entry of foreign investments, especially for lucrative and untapped resources, the Arroyo and Aquino administrations courted transnational corporations to invest either directly or through joint ventures, exploration, processing, and purchasing agreements with local mining companies. Existing and planned mining corporations in Caraga involve a number of foreign transnational mining corporations such as Anglo-American, BHP Benetton, Red 5 Limited, Medusa Mining Limited, Mindoro Resources, Simco Exploration and Mining Corporation, and Century Peak Metals Holding Corporation, among others. The Andap Valley, where the Alcadev School is located, and the site of the gruesome murders of school director Emerito Samarca and Lumad leaders Dionel Campos and Belo Sinzo, is part of the areas offered for coal operating contracts under the Department of Energy's Philippine Energy Contracting Round Program. The Aquino administration pursued the same path as that of Arroyo in terms of giving unbridled access to transnational corporations to mine and explore the Mindanao and the country's vast mineral resources. 700 mining tenements nationwide covering a total of 1.14 million hectares were approved by President Benigno Aquino III. 2 years later, 999 mining tenements have been approved by 1,864 applications in the pipeline. As of 2014, close to half of the approved financial assistance agreements, exploration permits, mineral sharing agreements, and mining tenements are located in Southern Island, comprising of over 296 hectares of land. For the past decades or so, in the wake of the Philippine Mining Act of 1995 and the demand for cheap sources of raw materials for the high-tech industries of the First World, Mindanao has been the target for the expansion of transnational mining operations and large-scale agricultural plantations.
For the conclusion of our topic, the preceding experts paint a stark picture of resource extraction in Mindanao, revealing a pattern of exploitation that has profoundly impacted the environment and the indigenous communities. From the colonial to post-colonial um, policies facilitated the large-scale logging and mining of Mindanao's natural resources. Driven by both the global and the demand and the pursuit of profit by the American and Filipino elites. The resulting deforestation had devastating ecological consequences, exemplified by the catastrophic floods following Typhoon Sendong from the previous years. This environmental damage was uh, inextricably linked to the social and economic marginalization of the Lumad and the Moro communities. Um, their traditional ways of life depend on the forest and land were disrupted, leading to displacement, violence, and the loss of their ancestral domains. The 1995 Philippine Mining Act, with its favorable terms for the foreign investors, the further exacerbated these issues, highlighting the detrimental effect of neoliberal policies that prioritize profit over the well-being of local populations. So these case studies of Mount Diwal and the Andap valleys underscores the ongoing conflicts and human rights abuse associated with extractive industries in the region. So furthermore, the narrative reveals a history of environmental destructions and social justice in Mindanao, demanding a critical re-evaluation of resources management practice and commitment to more equitable and sustainable development strategies.